Good morning, everybody. Again, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Santos Capellan Jr. Uh, Wishing you a good day. Okay, today what I'm going to discuss is about BMS Project Life Cycle or BMS management. Okay, project management. Okay. Now, as you know, in BMS project management, we start with initiation and planning. Okay. So in initiation and planning, what we need to do in initiation and planning is to there are two things, okay? One is tendering and engineering of site BMS requirement, okay? Now, under tendering, of course, first you have to secure the on-hand project tender documents, okay? So what are these tender documents? Project specification, project IFC or TFC drawings, project bill of quantity or bill of material, okay? So as I said and explained in my previous video tutorials, that you need to religiously go uh, one by one or check all the requirements of BMS in all these project specification, especially in mechanical, because the bulk of BMS points you can find it in the mechanical specification for controlling the HVAC equipment. Okay, now so that is the tendering part. So if you are the BMS engineer of a solution provider, you will go to the on-hand project, then ask for this tender documents. Okay. Now, once you have this tender documents, then you can start the engineering of site BMS requirements. Okay. So uh, in this engineering works, you should be able to produce the following information: BMS data point schedule or BMS DPS, BMS schematic riser diagram, BMS control schematic, BMS front-end PC system software and licenses, controllers, and field devices selection, BMS shop drawings, and BMS graphics. Okay. Now, I already explained in my previous video how you are going to define and finalize your BMS data point schedule, because in this uh, DPS, you will be able to see or select your controller and your field devices. So if you know already your total BMS data points, then you can also select the system software, the points requirement. You should consider it, especially if you are defining your software licenses. Okay. Now, once you selected the controllers, now it's time to create your BMS schematic raster diagram. Okay, so in this schematic raster diagram, you have to show how your controllers or your DDC panels will communicate to your server and how you're going to uh, see all these controllers online in your BMS workstation. Okay, so you need also to produce this BMS control schematics. Okay. Now, as I said, all the controls and monitoring of BMS points can be found in the mechanical specification. Okay. So, as I said, the bulk of BMS points for controlling and monitoring can be found in the mechanical specification, because typically the one controlled and monitored by BMS are the HVAC equipment. Okay. Now in the engineering, also you should be able to finalize your front end PC. Okay. How many computers you need to supply for this project? So what are the software that you need to provide? Let's say if the project needs to be accessed through internet, then you need to consider that one also. And of course, the licenses that you need to provide. Okay, then controllers, finalize your controllers, how many controllers you're going to use, how many base controller, and how many IO modules that you're going to use. And finally, the field devices. Okay, so you have to finalize all the field devices that you're going to use for the control and monitoring of different equipments. Okay, then BMS shop drawings. Okay, then BMS shop drawing will show the connections of an equipment to a DDC panel. Okay, the field devices connection to the DDC panel. Okay, as well. Now BMS graphics, again, you have to define also and design your BMS graphics. It should be clear and concise. Okay. Now, once you have finished this engineering, the outcome of this engineering work is the BMS material submittals. Okay. So what are the composition of BMS material submittals? Now, in your BMS material submittals, you don't need to provide everything under this engineering of site BMS requirements. So you can submit your BMS material submittals, which will show the BMS data point schedule, BMS schematic riser diagram, BMS control schematics, BMS front-end PC, system, software, and licenses, controllers, and field devices selection. So this four item, you can include it in your BMS material submittals. Okay. So your task as a your task as a BMS engineer is to have your BMS materials approved by the consultant. Okay. Of course, it will not be easy. There will be several revision for this BMS material submittals because your material first or your revision 0 BMS material submittals will be under the scrutiny of mechanical and electrical consultants. Okay, so there will be so many questions, there will be so many queries by consultant. Then you have to sit down with this consultant and explain your BMS material submittals, especially the first four points like BMS data point schedule, BMS schematic riser diagram, BMS control schematic, and BMS front-end PC system software and licenses, controllers, and field devices selection. Okay, so the most important here is the BMS schematic riser diagram. You have to convince the consultant how your system or how your system software, your server, your workstation will communicate to all your DDC panels. Okay, so these are the things that you need to do in initiation and planning. Okay, so let's go to implementation. After initiation and planning and your material submittals are approved, then it's time to do the implementation. So in implementation, I have two things: delivery of BMS bill of materials, the one approved by the consultants, then you need to deliver it. Okay, but first, of course, you have to order it from your principals. Then you have to give the ETA, estimated time of arrival to the site of these materials. Okay, so what are these materials that you need to first deliver to the site? BMS front-end PC and controllers. Okay, sometimes the front-end PC can come later, but the controllers and the field devices, it should be delivered to the site so that it is ready for fix and installation. Then BMS system software and licenses. Okay. Then BMS cable. Now BMS cable, if it is, if let's say the MEP company include this in your deliverables, then you can deliver this BMS cables. Okay. So that is the delivery of BMS bill of materials. Okay. Now make sure that you will not bring any materials in the site which is not approved by the consultants. Everything should be approved by consultants, so you will not encounter any problem later on. Okay. So after delivery of BMS bill of materials, then site BMS installation. Okay. So site BMS installation, this site BMS installation, it depends if this scope is part of solution provider or scope of MEP company. So anyway, if it is a scope of MEP company, then they will do the BMS first fix. So what is BMS first fix? Containment. So first you need to, using your approved shop drawings, you can start your containment works. This is trunking and GI conduits laying for BMS points. Then BMS second fix, BMS cable pulling and DDC panel installation. So you can start this BMS cable pulling and DDC panel installation in your second fix. Then BMS third fix, you can BMS field devices installation, and DDC termination. Once you finish your BMS field devices installation, then you can start off the termination of these field devices to the DDC panel. Okay, so that is the implementation, delivery of BMS materials, then site BMS installation. Okay, so after this implementation cycle, you have the closure. Uh, it's very easy. Engineering initiation and planning is the engineering works. Then implementation is the actual site BMS works. Then closure. What is closure? So in closure, you will do the four things: testing and commissioning, or what we call BMS TNC, BMS punch list rectification, BMS project handing over, then BMS DLP, defect, liability period, warranty. Okay. Now testing and commissioning. Now in testing and commissioning, what you will do is DDC panel power up. Okay. Now in DDC panel power up, make sure your network communication is not yet terminated on each DDC panel. Okay, to avoid some problem. Okay. Now, so in DDC panel power up, this is the first time you will power up your all your DDC panels. So one by one, you have to check for the correctness of power supply provision in your DDC panel. Okay. Now, once your DDC panel are all powered up, then one by one, you can connect the BMS network cable. Okay. So in this part, you should be very careful. Okay. Make sure there will be no power that will go to your network communication, because if there is power that will be going to your network communication, let's say even 24 volts, now it will damage all your DDC controllers. That is a big catastrophe if all your controllers will be damaged because of some power given to the network communication. Okay, so you have to put that in mind. Now, once all the DTG panels are communication, that is the time to check if your BM system is online. Okay, you have to go to your BMS workstation, check the system if it is already online. So when it is online, you will be able to see all the DTC panel communicating to your server, and you can see and see the different field BMS points. Okay. Now, once the system is online, you can start one by one the control and monitoring of HVAC and plumbing equipment. Okay, so you check first if you can control and monitor the real-time status of an HVAC equipment. Okay, then in some monitoring also for electrical and some other system, you see if you can monitor the real-time status of those equipment. Okay. Then if you have done some software integration, then you have to check also BMS monitoring of third-party system. That is software integration. Okay, I already discussed what is BMS software integration in my previous video. Okay, so after testing and commissioning, then and all those things are okay with the consultant. Of course, you have to invite the consultant in the BMS testing and commissioning, especially in the control and monitoring of plumbing system. Okay. Now, all these things should be seen in your BMS graphics. Okay. So you need to show the BMS graphics to your consultant under this BMS TNC. Okay. Then make sure all the real-time values are being given at the field. Okay. So after this TNC, you have this BMS punch list certification. Of course, when you are doing the TNC, the consultant will give many comments. Okay. Then once the comments are given to you, then that's the time to rectify it. Okay. So once you rectify this punch list, then again call the attention of the consultant where this punch list occurred. Okay, you have to show to them that you have rectified the raised comments. Okay, Now, after rectification of all the punch list, BMS punch list, then that's the time to prepare the project handing over form. Okay. So when you handed over the project, then that's the time you will be having this DLP period, defect liability period. This is your warranty. Basically, in our project, we are giving around 400 days defect liability period. Okay, so guys, this is the BMS project life cycle or BMS management. Okay, so hopefully you have an idea how are you going to manage BMS project. Once again, if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and hit also the notification bell so you will be notified when there's a new video available in my channel. Okay, thank you very much and God bless us all and bye for now.